Thank you very much, John. And thanks everybody who's managed to find time to join us. I know it's one of the paradoxes of the present moment that you feel like your days should be more spacious and that you should have more time on your hands when many people are at home. At the same time, there's such a weight of things on everybody's minds that I know that time is even more precious than ever. And so we really appreciate your taking time out of your day to hear a little bit about things that are happening at the college. I appreciated John also hearkening back to the State of the College address that I typically do at Reunion. We wish, of course, that we were gathered in person or that we would be looking forward to gathering in June. But it's wonderful, actually, that technology allows us to speak to more people today than probably we would have gathered in Farallon if it were early on a Saturday morning. So wonderful to have so many of you here with us. If you've seen a couple of the messages that I've put out already, we did a couple of video messages and some written updates. You know that the college has been fully occupied in coping with a lot of the consequences of the coronavirus and COVID-19. Of course, it was an unprecedented event for the college to find itself in a position of sending our students home to learn from their own homes rather than on campus, and to be managing the work of the college remotely as it is largely being handled now. So I want to begin by first noting my deep appreciation to the members of the college community who have stepped up incredibly in this moment. And we can say more about what's been happening in the classroom, what's happening in the way of student support, and we'll talk about some of those topics. I also want to thank the many alumni who have stepped forward to be helpful in this moment as well. We'll talk a little bit more about alumni engagement perhaps later in the hour, but one of the things that was immediately evident as we entered into this period of time is that alumni were very eager to think about how they could be of help to the college. And so quite a number of you have already been in touch to offer to assist students who are relocating, to offer with to help with internships, to offer to support students in a variety of ways. And all of that is deeply appreciated, not only in terms of the material support, but in terms of the message it sends to our students. It's very hard for them to be separated from each other and from their faculty and their coaches and their support systems on campus. And so to know that so many alumni care about them, I think has been incredibly meaningful to them. As I think about where we are at this moment, it's hard to believe that we're at the end of the spring semester. In some ways that feels normal. Students are finishing up classes this week. They're defending honors theses. They're receiving some awards for work that they've done. They're looking back on their time at Lafayette. And in other ways, of course, it feels quite anomalous. One of the things that we've worked hard at is trying to sustain the sense of connection that is so fundamental to the education that we offer here. And so faculty have done, I think, amazing outreach to students in trying to add a personal touch to what might otherwise be a kind of remote feeling associated with learning remotely. In addition, many members of our staff community, many folks on campus, including not only people in campus life, but staff in a variety of functions, have also gone out of their way to engage in lots of personal outreach so that students, even though they're far away, would feel that they're really personally connected to things that are happening on campus. That said, I think one of the things that has been most obvious in this whole situation is that our community has been very resilient, that the students by and large have pushed through. They are doing well. They are finishing their classes. They're very engaged on social media in ways that at times makes it easy to forget that they're not here in person. We were just chatting earlier about today. There's a fundraiser going on this week. The Greek organizations have partnered to do a fundraising effort for Second Harvest in Easton. And so they're doing social media things every day and keeping very engaged and sounding like they're here, even though you'd have to listen carefully to realize it's all happening on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. And so I think that they've coped very well with the change that has taken place, but of course are thinking carefully about their next steps and what their futures look like. For us on campus, one of the things we have to think about is just where this leaves Lafayette at this unique moment in higher education. There are the pressing issues that we need to manage, and we'll talk about some of those, the budgetary challenges, the arrangements we need to make for next year, the thinking that has to go on about Lafayette's long-term future. But it's also interesting just to reflect that this is a really unusual moment in higher education when all colleges and universities are grappling with some very similar challenges. And I mention this because I know from many of my interactions with alumni, emails that I've gotten and conversations that I've had, that many of you are very aware of the articles in the press and things you're hearing from other colleges and universities about their responses and their plans. And so in a way, it has a much more collective feel than most crises that I've managed in the past. typically, if you're handling a problem on campus, you're handling it by yourself, and it's pretty specific to something, happening in your community. It's really interesting to have something be a national and global phenomenon where people are thinking collectively about it. And I've been very heartened by notes I've gotten from alums who will just forward me something that they heard about another university. Have you thought of this? Have you heard of this? Are our students having this problem? You get a sense that there's kind of shared problem solving going on. And I think that's really a wonderful testament to the level of engagement that everyone feels. And so as we think about where Lafayette is at this moment, we're in a position of tremendous strength in many ways. Because I like to be on the optimistic side, I've even said to our cabinet, I could imagine worse times for a crisis like this to strike. If this had happened 2 years ago, we would not have been able to finish our capital campaign, which built wonderful resources that we're going to need and draw upon in this moment. If it had happened a year ago, we would not have completed the Rockwell Integrated Sciences Center, our beautiful new science facility that we opened with great celebration this fall. And so we have a lot of big projects just behind us. We certainly have a lot of exciting things ahead of us that we'll have to think about differently in this moment. But we feel that we were pretty well positioned in order to cope with these kinds of challenges. And so we feel fortunate that we have a strong community to draw upon, a strong staff, faculty, and really student community that is very anxious to see the college get back on its feet and move forward in a powerful way, in an innovative way, in a way that reflects on the kind of traditions that have made Lafayette so successful in the past. And so we're happy to have a chance to talk in more detail about some of the specifics of what's happening, but I hope that you'll get a sense that the community has really pulled together in this moment. And while it might feel isolating to think of students being each alone in their homes, working on their work, faculty and staff, each sitting as I am, as you are in front of a computer, it feels actually like a moment of great connection and great energy as people are really thinking together about how Lafayette can move forward in the future. So that is what I would say is a kind of opening to our conversation, and I look forward to your questions, John.